Welcome to another Save Money Cut Carbon Learn and Save Masterclass, and today we're joined by Alex that runs the Demand Reduction Tech and Delivery Hub here at Save Money Cut Carbon. So Alex, maybe you could firstly tell us a little bit about, how did you get into demand reduction? And then I think I'm going to come on to what is demand reduction for our viewers. So Alex, over to you.
Yeah, sure. So I've spent about 10 years working in energy performance contracting and sustainability consultancy and those sorts of things. So in that time, I've worked with quite a few different technologies, be it LED lighting and controls, all the way through to building management systems, heat pumps, solar PV, building fabric works, all of those sorts of things where we, get a good understanding of how a building utilises energy and then try and sort of diagnose where you can then start saving it and make the biggest impact.
Okay, and demand reduction. So I guess we're reducing the demand for energy, but how do you see demand reduction? And if I'm a demand reduction customer, what's the journey you take us on?
Demand reduction is probably one of the most important steps you can take towards achieving your net zero goals. I mean, the first step is always taking what you've got, getting it to operate as efficiently as possible. So using as little energy as you possibly can using your existing equipment so that you can then look at, installing either renewable heating or renewable electricity generation, which can then start to offset what you've got in the way of your remaining electricity or energy consumption. So what we do is we come in essentially and we do the whole building audit. So we try and understand as much as we possibly can about how the building uses energy. We'll analyse all of your utility bills, half-hourly modelling and those sorts of things. And we'll get a really, really good picture of how the building uses energy and what efficiency improvements we can get in various different areas. We'll then start targeting those areas. So for instance, ventilation, chillers, boilers, controls, all of those different areas where we can then start really focusing on where the opportunities are. And then we can start presenting those opportunities back to you and see which of them seem the most attractive.
So you're identifying how my building operates, those kind of saving opportunities, and then I guess are you taking it through a proposal, an investment proposal that a business can look at and go, I want to do that one, and that one, or do all of them? So that I guess with energy prices so high at the moment, it just kind of makes good business sense as well as the net zero and kind of ESG impact.
Absolutely. I mean, the way that utility prices are at the moment, it's massively changed the way that people are starting to think about how buildings are using energy. A lot of what we do is trying to identify the low-hanging fruit that are not quite so easy to find. So for instance, a lot of people know that LED lighting is something that definitely should be installed, but we try to delve a little bit deeper. So really, getting to grips with plants, seeing what small changes we can make that have massive differences. Any
particular technologies in the demand reduction team you're looking at the moment that kind of keep you awake at night or excite you? Anything new you're looking at?
Well, there's been massive progress on LED lighting controls and Bluetooth controllers that can do all sorts of very interesting things that don't require all of the same cabling that you used to require for DALI dimmable systems, but can provide much greater levels of control that are really exciting from both an energy savings perspective and a building occupation perspective.
So kind of, I guess LED gives you a nice big saving from traditional lighting, and then your control thinking or the technology you're talking about can take us even further. And all of these projects are really great, but they've got to be funded. Does your group work on funding options for the clients? So, you come in, you look at my building, you tell me all the great things I can do, but, it's an investment. Businesses are really, many are struggling at the moment. So if I'm a school or I'm a hotel or I run a big office or whatever it might be, do you help with the funding side of your projects?
Yeah, sure. So we can offer several different funding opportunities. So either through direct finance or through operating leases or through power purchase agreements or heat purchase agreements or essentially anything like that. We work with a number of market leading funding houses that are more than happy to look at these sorts of things.
And everybody likes a grant or some free money. Any projects you're working on at the moment where maybe there are government grants that are tucked away that nobody can find or see, or are you working on any things that can maybe access money that maybe the government or local councils or someone are putting forward?
Particularly working with the public sector at the moment, we're doing a lot on both the Low Carbon Skills Fund and the Public Sector Decarbonisation Scheme. So the Low Carbon Skills Fund is essentially a fund for public sector bodies to access, which enabling works for decarbonisation journeys. So whether that would be through getting a heat decarbonisation plan together or looking at some design work. If you've got a heat decarbonisation plan and you want to go forward with an air source heat pump, but you can't fund the design work, then the LCSF can fund that for you. All of the enablers that sort of precede a renewable heating project could be funded through the LCSF as long as you're a public sector body.
It's really interesting. So it sounds to me like you and your team can kind of look at the building and find out what needs to be done and what the opportunities are. Have got products and solutions, which I guess you must have, see all the latest products and solutions, but more importantly, build that kind of business case and the funding and bits and pieces. And then I guess you deliver the projects as well. Would that be correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think a lot of the time, the calculations that we've done up front, and we're always up front with how we've developed our savings calculations, how we've developed our costs, and all of those sorts of things. And then by taking people through those sorts of processes, we tend to build quite a lot of trust, which then turns into projects. So we're more, we'll then deliver on the works that we've identified early on. So it's really a sort of start to finish process where we'll go to site, identify the opportunities, develop the solutions, cost the solutions, deliver them.
Fantastic. So you're kind of like a super consultant or whatever. You do the consultancy bit and the delivery. Is there anything, any particular projects that you might be either working on now or you've delivered recently that excite you? What obviously you do a lot of these sort of projects. There must be ones that come along you think, oh, that's a real challenge or that's really interesting. Anything particularly you'd like to tell the viewers about that is an exciting project to you and your team?
Yeah, so we're actually working with a massive further education college that are based on the south coast at the moment to undertake energy audits with them. And as part of the energy audit that we've just undertaken, we've identified enormous savings through. They actually already have heat pumps, which is one of the interesting things. So actually, we'll be taking heat pumps and getting the heat pumps to operate more efficiently. That's quite a considerable saving. They've got their heating and cooling is largely delivered by air handling units. There's lots we can do with those air handling units to improve efficiency. There's stuff that we can do on lighting and controls. Massive open building, lots of natural lighting, looking at daylight dimming and daylight controls and all of those sorts of things, which will massively reduce their electricity consumption associated with lighting. There's lots of work that we can do on their building management system as well, and lots of work that we can do with their domestic hot water. So even though it's quite a new building, the opportunities for improvement there are absolutely enormous. I think it could turn into a really, really excellent project to work on.
Fantastic. And I guess with whether you're being driven by energy bills or net zero or decarbonisation, or now the energy certificates, the EPCs for commercial buildings, I think also changed in April that buildings have to be more efficient. I guess you're quite in demand at the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. And framing it as well as where the utility tariffs are at the moment, and the requirement for people to achieve an EPC rating of D, all of a sudden demand reduction couldn't be more in demand.
That's some great insight into what demand reduction is in your experience and what you're seeing. That's really good. Thank you very much, Alex. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.